If you shower or brush your teeth or try to make your hair look presentable, here's some good news. Dollar Shave Club has a lot of stuff to help you out. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, hair gel, even a wipe that leaves your tush feeling tingly clean. All of Dollar Shave Club's products are made with top-shelf ingredients that won't break your budget. You'll feel the difference. Plus, shipping is free with your membership. And here's a great way to try a bunch of Dollar Shave Club's products for just $5. You can get their Daily Essential Starter Set. It comes with Body Cleanser, One Wipe Charlie's, their amazing butt wipes, and their world-famous shave butter. And their best razor, the 6-Blade Executive. Keep the blades coming for a few more bucks a month and add in a shampoo, toothpaste, or anything else you need. Check it all out at dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Chad.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
But here's my observation and the lessons we're learning. We are in a zero-sum game. It's like the flip of a coin. I flip the coin, heads I win, tails you lose. Or you flip the coin and it's, you got heads, you win, and I lose. You can't run politics, you can't run life in a zero-game environment. And so it's like when you're in that environment, all the tactics are permitted. You can say anything about anybody. You can, because it's all about me winning and you losing. We can't live our lives that way.
Absolutely true. Wisdom from today's thought master, John Kasick. We can't live in a world like that. Tribalism's insane the way that it's gotten. And part of it is because we give a voice to people now and a way to get their anger out, right? That movie, The Purge, that came out a couple years ago, and it spawned several, sequels since then, where people can go out and have their night of crime and anything is legal from like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Anything is legal. Murder. You just can't murder certain people, politicians and stuff like that. Outside of that, you can murder, rape, do anything you want to do. It's all legal. And we've given people a voice now where they can be angry. That's why when I posted some today about on a fake trailer about how they've made him to be the boogeyman, Kavanaugh, and everything. It's not just he's a rapist, potentially serial rapist, but not really. But we're going to make you think he's that. He's also going to kill polar bears, and he's going to do this, that, and the other. And It's crazy that we've gotten to this point. So it gives people an outlet. They can go on and they could just say whatever they want to say, and it gets it out there. But we've gotten to this point where it's us versus them, and that's something that we have to take a deep breath, right? That's why we say try to find common grounds. So when people say they hate me, hey, if it makes them feel a little better to say that you hate me, I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay. I don't care. There's 5 or 6, 7 people in the world that I'm close with. As far as people that are in my group, right? The kids and my family, my mom, and then we're not all close people. No, I love them. I'm just messing with you. But there's a closeness of my relationships and things that I have that I keep on the down low. I care about their thought, right? Outside of that, it's and I care about both sides of the aisle, the listeners and everything, and I'm okay with that. But if we get to the point where the only reaction we have to somebody is, I hate you, and you don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about me. That I'm a father, right? That that I'm a brother, that I'm a big uncle, that I do all of these things. All you know is you don't agree with something I said, so your only thing that you have to do is lash out because you hate me. Because you're so tribal and you're so bent on the red or blue, and both sides does it. Both sides do it. Both sides are guilty of this. Absolutely. Right now, it's easy to look at the blue side and say you guys are an absolute joke, not only by the way you've treated Kavanaugh, but by the way you've treated Dr. Ford and anybody else you can use to do the things that you need to do to make sure that you get the victory.
And then we get to our tongues. Our tongues, which one person wrote, maybe it was even in the scripture, that the tongue is more powerful than the rudder on a ship. And we use this tongue as a weapon. And we use social media now as a weapon, almost a virtual tongue, to say things that we end up turning around and we apologize to our spouses. We apologize to our friends. We apologize to our business partners. And guess what? Sometimes we can't heal it.
Yeah, sometimes. But the reality is people aren't. We've gotten so tribal that we live in these echo chambers, and anybody who comes into our echo chamber, get out of here. What do you? It's like turf, right? This political turf. It's like, that's my street corner. You're in my area. How dare you come over to the red side or the blue side? How dare you? If you get caught dead over here, you're done, man. We're going to get you. It's sad. It's absolutely sad. 110%. It's completely sad the way that this is playing itself out. And when I look at something like with what's happening with Kavanaugh, right? And I don't think we're going to find anything out other than, he drank a little bit in college. And apparently for anybody else, that's okay. But for him, that somehow he's damned. But the fact that we're at the point now where we're not going to find anything out. He's going to be, he's a serial rapist. He kills puppy dogs and polar bears. He's single-handedly destroying the Earth's climate and all of these kind of things. And we're not going to find anything else out. And people have already made up their minds. And if you support him, somehow you hate women. And that's not a starting point for anything. That's an ending point. That's it. And our tongues are. And our mind. It's not our tongues, it's our mind. Our mind controls our tongue. It's not our tongue. It's our mind. And that's the point I always talk about, being open-minded. Don't tell me what color friends you have or what sexual identity they have or what box you can check off for something. I don't care about that. What's in their mind? What's in their heart? That matters far more than anything else. Absolutely. But in this world of red and blue, we can't do that anymore. We can't. And I feel sorry. I look at this and I think to myself, have we always been this kind of, I don't know if we've always been this way. Obviously, the Civil War was something that was quite huge, and we can go back to that. But as far as individuals, right, the way that we now have that platform to say anything to anybody at any given time, it is kind of sad because we don't care. We say things to people that we would never say to anybody else because we feel we have the right to say something because I don't agree with you, so I can hate you, and I have moral high ground to hate you.
And we have got to all wake up that I don't have to win and you have to lose. We can all have some victories.
But how does that work in the confirmation process?
Well,
Kavanaugh is going to be a win for some and a lose for others.
Well, we have to think about what we're learning from this. Now, we had Gorsuch was confirmed, but we have to learn, why did that work? Why is this not working?
Yeah. How many times have I said this over and over again? The sad thing about the politics that we have nowadays is we've stopped trying to say, hey, we've got a great idea. We think it's a great idea and it'll be great for the country. It's now just easier to say, hey, they suck a lot more than we suck. Let us tell you how they suck. And boom. And when you hear people like Bill Maher, who, a month or two ago says, we got to hope for a recession and that everything can collapse. That's the mentality. You hope America goes into recession and people lose their jobs and their livelihood and lose their homes so we can get back on the ground that you think we should be on and the path that you think we should be on because somehow people know better. That's not a win. I've said it all along, and people ask me every day, would you have supported Hillary? Yeah, I would have. As far as I don't want my president to fail. If she did something wrong, I would criticize her. If she did something right, I would praise her. Same thing I do with Trump. When he does stuff wrong, I criticize him. When he does stuff right, I praise him. People talk about, I'm a great patriot, you're a patriot, everybody's a patriot. I hear the patriot word all the time, yet how I hear is you hate half the country, right? You hate half the country because they don't agree with you. That's ridiculous. That's not a patriot, right? You're not a patriot. You only fight for your side. And that's the issue with politicians. That's why I tell everybody over and over again, become a free agent. Every time your last vote is cast for all of the people you're going to cast a vote for come in November. So every time you check off that last box or do whatever it is that you do, and that's it, it's gone, you turn around and you say, I've got no allegiance to anybody. They're going to have to earn my vote. It's actions, not words, and become a free agent. Let them work for you.
I learned about pressure cookers when I was a kid. I said to my mother, when you make those potatoes, why does that thing whistle? She says, Johnny, if it doesn't whistle and blow off steam, it'll all explode. We're about to see the explosion, and we are seeing in some sense the explosion of American politics. I hope people will listen to me and think about it doesn't have to be win and loss. There are ways in which we can get these things fixed.
Absolutely. It's not going to be perfect, right? We're still going to have some, some awful people in positions of power. But when you start holding them accountable, you start getting rid of them, you start voting them out and stop being trapped by some sort of D or R by your name. Do you know how much better that's going to be for you and me and everybody else? There's still going to be times when they fall short of expectations. They're still human beings. There's still going to be times when politics gets in the way. But the problem now is politics is all that matters. The people don't matter. It's themselves. It's the party. And way down here, it's the people. Outside of that, they don't care. They don't. And we need to start caring. We absolutely need to start caring. 110%. In a different way than we're doing it now. We do it now when we go and we say something on Facebook, we say something somewhere, and I'm only this or I'm only that, and away we go, and I defend my party and I don't care about it. No. Are you listening? Are you talking? Are you conversing to other people? Are you having an open mind about something? I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me. We don't need to hate each other. Find some middle ground. We can find some commonality. We can sit there and talk. And you know what's great is when it comes to politics, I'm okay if you have to give some stuff up because they're also Americans. They are Americans, just like me. And sometimes you give and sometimes you get. But we're at a position where we don't, if it's not all, it'll be nothing. And we're okay with that. And that's not a win.
Who's winning on this?
Nobody.
We're not teaching our kids this. We teach our kids, you win at all costs. The Ryder Cup was on over the weekend. You know what everybody liked? Each team giving each other a hug.
Right.
You play as hard as you can, and you show respect for somebody because when you back them into a corner, whether it's a human being or whether it's an animal, you learn you back somebody into a corner and they'll strike at you.
Absolutely. And I will tell you this right now. Like I said, and I continue to say, go look up the names of every tribe out there. A majority of tribes have people in their name. River people, our people, the people, because they want to see themselves only as the people, and everybody else is the serpent, the demon, the evil. They are less than us, these people. That doesn't get us anywhere. The minute we see red, white, and blue, hey, we're all Americans here, regardless of color, sexual orientation, who you worship or don't worship, any of that, the better it is for everybody. The better it is. I'm not saying that you don't have your thoughts and you should look at everything and you vote your conscience and the thing you want. But if we don't stop for a second and start thinking, hey, we need to start moving things forward and we're not going to get everything we want. And we can do this as a group going forward, and we can show the world what it is and who it is we are in a better way. Our founding fathers were worried not about outside forces, but by us eating ourselves alive. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
Just makes me laugh. The anger that people have. You go to Chad Benson Show on the old Facebook or Twitter. I posted a cartoon that Chris Britt did earlier. We'll get deeper into it a little bit later. And it's amazing, right? So I did something today that I posted something poking fun at the left, and it's a trailer. It's on Facebook and everywhere else. It's well done. We do all right, and it pokes fun, and people are pissed off and they're angry about it, right? Like, oh my God, you're a horrible human being. Then I posted this picture, asked a question about this cartoon. Do I like the cartoon? No, but we live in a free country, and I don't think people understand the free speech side of things. I may not like the fact, and it's basically a cartoon. If you've not seen it, it's everywhere right now, and he's a left-leaning cartoonist of Kavanaugh's daughter praying for her dad, the rapist, the misogynist, the alcoholic. Instead of praying for Dr. Ford, it takes a spin on it. And everybody's like, oh, this is the point where you've got to realize that it's not just your speech, right? It's not. It may be, and it's uncomfortable. And as much as I may not be a fan of it, the reality is the world I live in allows it. And I don't want them to change it. Because if we start changing things, they're going to come for everybody's speech. And we have too much of that right now. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Every single day at this time right here, we break it out to you like it is hot, no matter where it is. It could be cool where you are. It could be warm where you are. But it's Urban Word of the Day right now.
It's time for the Urban Word of the Day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban Word of the Day.
Toxic parents. Toxic P. When you see that, if your kids do that, what they're saying is you are toxic. You only care about yourself. Toxic P. I found that out. Man, they're just being toxic P. Like, what? We got toxic masculinity. Now the parents are getting thrown in. We got toxic everywhere. You got to be careful. That's what I said earlier. I just did a live stream about the fact that the toxicness of everything. Human beings are toxic. Your gender has nothing to do with it. But if you're looking at their tweet or their text or something that says toxic P, that means they think you're toxic to them. Toxic parents or toxic P, your Urban Word of the Day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the Urban Word of the Day. We damn stretched your cranium.
Starting on November 1st, the 250,000 permanent employees and the 100,000 seasonal workers at Amazon will make at least $15 an hour. Founder Jeff Bezos says he hopes that his competitors and other large employers will follow his lead. The pay raise also applies to Whole Foods, the grocery store chain that Amazon owns.
God, he's a smart business dude. He really is. You listen to what he's done, and he's raised the minimum wage for his employees to $15 an hour, which will probably get Bernie off his back for a while. But what it does now is it's going to force his competitors to move their wages up, which will put him in an advantage because he knows he can withstand that. And it's going to be very interesting to see how the Targets and the Walmarts take to this kind of news today. And he's doing it voluntarily. He's not being forced to do it. And it's going to start November 1st. And I'm telling you, it's smart business. Not only is it a feel-good story, hey, we won, but what it does is it really puts pressure on it. This was a pure business move. 100% by Bezos and Amazon. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Lots of stuff still to talk about it. I said it last week. Now she's saying it, and she was the one who was in the middle of it. We'll talk about that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
President Trump has portrayed himself as a master deal maker who turned $1 million loan from his father into a multi-billion-dollar empire.
I started off in Brooklyn. My father gave me a small loan of $1 million. I came into Manhattan, and I had to pay him back, and I had to pay him back with interest.
The New York Times reports much of his fortune is built on what the paper called dubious tax schemes and outright fraud. The president's attorney called the story 100% false and highly defamatory, but state tax officials said they're reviewing the allegations, which are too old to be prosecuted.
Yeah, too old to be prosecuted, and his brother has come out and said it's a bunch of crap. They put this thing to rest a long time ago. They're bad because look at all the money they had. According to the New York Times and their obsession with his money, I find that to be weird, right? Like, he's not a drug dealer. This isn't Pablo Escobar, right? Who cares how he got his money? Well, he should be paying more. It's at least $413 million he got from his father, and these are the equivalent of that today's money. And his parents dodged taxes. Here's my question to the dodging taxes, right? Because the obsession that the left has with what other people have money-wise is really weird to me. It is. That's like a sign of, that's a sickness. It's like, I'm obsessed with what you have that I don't have, and I want to take it. I was talking to somebody the other day about this, and they're obsessed with, hey, you know, trickle-down economics doesn't work. I'm like, so it doesn't work when it comes to, like, private enterprise, but trickle-down economics works when it comes to government, because that's all it is. Just take theirs and give it to you, or you can hope it trickles down. I mean, how's that? It's incredible. And that's what I've always said about the greediest of all is not private corporation. It's government. Government wants what's yours. And so this whole thing is, apparently they had a lot of money, and they paid about $52 million in taxes on the money. Although they're saying the dollar amount could have been about $550 million in taxes, according to the Times analysis. And this is the Times analysis. What did they do? Well, it was all wrapped up. Their dad died in 1999. That's Fred. The mom died in 2000. That's Mary Ann. And everything got sorted away and wrapped up the way they think it should have been. And that was 20 plus years ago. The IRS and everybody else signed off of it. What did they do? They had sham corporations. No, here's what they did that people don't like, right? You give all of these rules and regulations when it comes to the tax code, right? So this is giant, huge, massive, huge 16 quadrillion thousand feet in the air tax code that's just absolutely insane, right? It'd be easier to figure out how to read Sanskrit than figure this thing out, but some people have. So what they do is they figure out how inside, and it's not, maybe Trump didn't. Maybe we'll find out later he didn't and his family didn't. But a lot of times what they find out, and this is what pisses people off, is they figure out how to maneuver inside of the thing that you give them. So this is the game. You create the game. They figure out how to beat you in your game. And that still angers people, especially people on the left, because it's this weird obsession with other people's money. OPM. I don't. But don't you care? No. Why? Because it doesn't affect me. I'm not getting a trophy. I'm not getting some of it. It doesn't affect me. This obsession with, hey, somebody died. They've already paid taxes on it, so we need to take more money out of that before it goes to somebody else because we don't like the changing of wealth. It's so stupid. Oh, my goodness. So we'll find out. Were they sham corporations? Were they laundering money? Right? You can go today, set up a trust, put that money in a trust, make it a family trust. Guess what happens when people die? Whoever has the trust, they're not paying taxes on that. Is that a sham? If you set it up right, it's not. Corporations do it all the time. And all these famous people come out, hey, you got to do this and you got to do that. Let me tell you how the famous people, the wealthy, do it. Right? That's why I could tell you today, we could raise the taxes on the wealthy to 90%. You know what they're not going to do? They're not going to pay any. They set up all kinds of schemes and scams that you think are schemes and scams. What they are is just smart business. They set up a nonprofit over here that pays for everything. They pay themselves $1 a year. And then this over here pays for that. And the money goes in there and they donate some out and then they write it off. It's all just to have a flat tax. Say there is no more code. Here it is. Win. There you go. Problem solved. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. So I find this to be interesting. I said something last week about the fact that when you look at Kavanaugh, the thing that struck me most is it is, for all intents and purposes, it's the John Hughes movies of the 1980s. Remember those? Pretty in Pink, Some Kind of Wonderful, all of those movies that it was the rich kids, it was the poor kids, it was Molly Ringwald, it was all of this stuff. And lo and behold, people are talking about it.
16 Candles might be one of John Hughes' seminal cinematic classics, but that doesn't mean every aspect of the movie has aged well. In fact, there are a lot of scenes in the movie that are more likely to make you cringe than laugh. Sure, it was a product of the era, but some of the movie's moments of cultural insensitivity are just plain hard to overlook upon a modern review.
Get a piece of anytime I want. I got Carol in the bedroom right now, passed out cold. Violate her 10 different ways if I wanted to.
Okay, so that's the retro rage. Modern sensitivity. There's a difference, right? That's what it was then. Modern sensitivity. Modern sensitivity. Modern. We look at things now. We look at today's world, and we think that everybody should have been as woke as we are today 10 years ago, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. It doesn't work that way. That's what evolving is. That's like looking back from the first time we've crawled out of the ocean, right, and crawled onto land, that you should be as evolved and woke as us. That's ridiculous. We evolved not only physically, we've evolved mentally, socially, right?
Not only does he give her the cold shoulder just because another girl has shown interest in him, but he even encourages the desperate freshman Ted to take her home because he's trying to step out on her with Sam and predicts she'll be too drunk to tell them apart anyway.
Jake, I'm only a freshman. So? She's so blitz, she won't know the difference.
Oh, my God. He's a horrible guy. Horrible, horrible guy. Can you believe that? But this was, understand, too, what this tried to point out. It was this weird world of nerds and geeks and freshmen, and there was Farmer Ted, and that was Anthony C. Hall there, and you know, it was the rich kids and the poor kids and how they came to, it was all of this stuff. It wasn't just socially, it's horrible. You remember the donger, right? And all the things. I mean, all of this stuff that goes into these things. And that's the thing. I mean, I look back and I think about all the movies now that can't be made that we look at and go, oh, producer Phil, here's one. Blazing Saddles. Could you do that today?
Oh, hell no.
Hell no. No chance. And I'm waiting for them to go, you know, we can't play this anymore. We can't do this anymore. Because every once in a while you'll see, like, in the summertime, they'll like, hey, on Tuesday nights we play classics. We can't play these things anymore because of the cultural sensitivity to today. We're already changing things in colleges. They're changing Mark Twain's books and other books. We're getting rid of Laura Ingalls Wilder books because it was culturally, it's not sensitive to today's world. And that is insane.
You know, when I made those movies with John Hughes, his intention was to not make Porky's or Animal House. But I think, you know, as everyone says, and I do believe is true, that the times were different, and what was acceptable then is definitely not acceptable now, and nor should it have been then, but that's sort of the way that it was.
Yeah, yeah. Again, you had Porky's. I don't know how many times I've seen Porky's. I saw Porky's a bunch. Animal House, one of my favorite movies of all time. Absolutely. These movies were a little bit, they were definitely different. It wasn't just teen angst. There was all kinds of things that they were going through where the other ones were just angst, and it was craziness, and it was wild. It was about the drinking and all this. Revenge of the Nerds is another one. You look at that, and that was another movie that a lot of us watched and we liked. Don't look at in retro rage back to back then. You look at it and you say, that's what it was back then. Obviously, we're more woke today. We're more socially, we've evolved in so many ways and blah, blah, blah. That's why comedy, it should be, comedy's at the height of where comedy is in a way that it hasn't been for years. And at the same time, more and more people are trying to stifle it. More and more people trying to shut it down because they don't like what people says, whether it's Dave Chappelle or Joe Rogan or Daniel Tosh or a lot of these people that, you know, you go out there and you're like Jesselneck. They don't care, but they get destroyed for it, right? We can't do these things like we used to be able to do these things. I mean, you go and look at something like even, God, what was that movie a few years ago with, where they got crazy in Vegas? I'm trying to think what it was. And they got lost there. I forget. My mind's blank, drawing a blank. But can you do that? It's 10 years on, right? 15 years on? It's the retro rage.
I feel very differently about the movies now. And And it's a difficult position for me to be in because there's a lot that I like about them. And of course, I don't want to appear ungrateful to John Hughes, but I do oppose a lot of what is in those movies.
And that's Molly Ringwald. Well, guess what? You're famous because of those movies. You're famous because of those movies. And I'm sure if we look back, I watch shows all the time, and I look at the way that you know, whether it's Archie Bunker or the Honeymooners or Gunsmoke, and the way that people talk to each other, it is a totally different world. I get that. But that's the way it was then. Leave your modern sensibilities at home and just admire it for what it was at the time.
I believe that there is still a lot of good in the films, and there's a lot that I'm proud of. And I feel like in a lot of ways they've touched teenagers and sparked a conversation that is important. And having a teenage daughter myself, I know that it's not always easy to get teenagers to talk.
No, it's not, because they're too busy playing on their damn phones, right? That's what the movie would be today. There wouldn't be any of that. Could you do Mean Girls today, comparatively? No. Can do a lot of the things that we look back and go, oh, wow, Heathers, or a lot of these other things. It's a different world. It really is. But I can look back on it for what it was at the time. The problem is people can't separate that anymore. They want to move their modern sensibility, if you will, their inclusiveness, their all of this stuff, and they want to move it back to there and say, ha, look how horrible you were. Wrong. Some Kind of Wonderful is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love that movie.
I feel like the movies that I made then were very much representing the culture at the time. You know, and I feel like that is why they resonated with people, because it was their experience, and they did feel like they had these films that were real. They didn't have that sort of after school special feeling where somebody was, you know, teaching them a lesson. You know, it didn't feel like that.
No, it wasn't. It was interesting. It was fun, and it wasn't an after school special. It was something more than that. And I don't want people attacking my childhood. I'm sick and tired of it. It was what it was. That was the time and the era. Trust. In 50, 100 years, our great-great-grandkids are going to look back at our kids and go, wow, they were not woke as we are woke. It's funny. Let it go. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Dollar Shave Club. I am, you see me on, you go check out the Facebook Lives, and you check out all we got all the stuff happening and the TV and all these kind of things. I try to look good. I try to smell good. If you could smell me through the camera, you would know I smell delicious. You would absolutely know that. Thanks to Dollar Shave Club. They got all kinds of stuff, kids. They got everything you need to look, smell, and feel fantastic. You're going to look great, whether you're going out, whether you're going to work, no matter what you're doing. Maybe you're playing a sport. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You're going to look, feel, and smell fantastic. And check this out. Daily Essential Starter Set, $5. They got the toothpaste and toothbrush one. They got the razor one. They got hair one. They got all kinds of the Daily Essential Starter Sets. $5, free shipping after that stuff ships at normal price, which is still dirt cheap for the high quality products that you're going to get, which is amazing. So what are you waiting for? Become a member today. Join the Dollar Shave Club. Become part of the Dollar Shave Club nation, kids. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. 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 It's the Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
One of these days, pow, right in the kisser. Bang, soon. You're going to the moon.
I listen to that. And I think about how we change things. The Honeymooners was one of those shows, right? But let's be real. What is he saying? You're going to the moon. And pow! It's threatening domestic abuse. That was comedy back then? Because it wasn't real. He wasn't going to really punch her. That was sarcasm. But we've lost the art of that. We've lost the art to understanding. We take everything that anybody says is that's what you're going to do. You're going to punch somebody in the face and send her to the moon. That's the violence that you're going to bring upon that woman. And I was thinking Phil, you've talked about it. Like, they want to bring back All in the Family. Never going to happen in the way that they think it's going to happen, because what made it so great is it was politically incorrect, right?
Yeah.
Or what is it, the Party of Five now that the reboot is going to be?
That just irritates me.
Every time I bring it up, you can hear Phil like, So Party of Five, it's going to be what? They're going to deport the mother and father instead of them dying in a car crash.
That's correct. It's because the parents are deported, so now the family has to survive on its own.
There you go. It's politically correct. There you go. It's perfect. It is, because it's about the political correctness, and this is the modern era we live in. And we have to learn, we can either live with it, and you can find the places and the things that you like, or, it's crazy. It really is. But when we look and we start saying, oh, this was bad from this, and, you look at Blazing Saddles, which is a great movie. The Jerk, for God's sake. There's no way you could do The Jerk today. There's no way you could do a lot of the things today that we did, that we laughed about. It's just impossible. Go look at some of the old great black and white movies. It's just no way. It isn't, because and I'm waiting for them to go after, Tarantino for the use of the N-word in all these movies and things that it's just, even though it's a point that he's proving, just makes us all uncomfortable now. Get over it. Really. I ask you. And here's my thing. The beauty of the world that we live in is if you don't like something, you're not forced to watch it, to look at it, to do anything. You could just go, I don't like it, and you move on. The problem is somebody says, I don't like it, and then another person says, I don't like it, and they say, fine, then nobody gets to see it. And that's just awful. Stop ruining everybody, you fun ruiners. You know who you are. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You tweet at us. Check out Chad Benson Show TV. Got a funny trailer up about Kavanaugh being the boogeyman. That's on the old YouTube and everywhere else where Chad Benson is available, kids. 'Tis the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
President Trump has portrayed himself as a master deal maker who turned $1 million loan from his father into a multi-billion-dollar empire.
I started off in Brooklyn. My father gave me a small loan of $1 million. I came into Manhattan, and I had to pay him back, and I had to pay him back with interest.
The New York Times reports much of his fortune is built on what the paper called dubious tax schemes and outright fraud. The president's attorney called the story 100% false and highly defamatory, but state tax officials said they're reviewing the allegations, which are too old to be prosecuted.
Too old to be prosecuted. Finally, people aren't talking about Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh's like, whoo! Not talking about me, talking about the quadrillions of dollars that Trump stole from everybody. It's not your money. It's not your dad's money. That's our money. How do you feel? I don't care about this. I know it's weird because so many people are obsessed with OPM, other people's money, right? They're obsessed with like, he had all this money, but he didn't do it right. He said he only did this. Do you really believe anything he says? I mean, sometimes he says stuff that's true. And even when he did something right, a lot of the times he stretches the truth. I mean, and it is what it is. People are like, well, that's the only reason he's rich. It's not the only reason he's rich. He has been successful. Trust me. Go on up to Silicon Valley. Talk to venture capitalists who have given out hundreds of millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to startup companies to watch it go right in the dumper. Right? We gave $500 million to Solyndra. How'd that work out for us? It didn't. Is what it is. But it's the other people's money. Why are you so obsessed? Like Bernie, Bernie and Elizabeth Warren are going to talk about this and Ocasio-Cortez for days and years. This is it. The only reason he's this way is because of this. He stole money. That's not your money. That's not your family's money. That's the people's money. And I've never understood that. I've never understood why we tax the dead. So I've never understood that. It's like you die and we want to take some of your money. Why? You've paid taxes on it. Why should you have to pay taxes again? Because it's not fair. Again, it's silly. I've never, to me, and I want to see as they break this thing down over the next couple of days, because this will be something that everybody's going to be talking about, is, okay, did he really do something wrong? And he jobbed the system and he screwed the system? Or did he and his people, his tax attorneys and everybody else, they just knew how to work the system? Because a lot of times when you think that they're screwing you, they just know what the system is all about. They understand the system better, and that's what they learn how to do. Where to put the money, where it can't be taxed, what charitable foundations that they can set up for themselves, like everybody who's got a ton of money does. They set up these charitable foundations, and they pay for everything. We're going here, we're going there. They write it all off. That's the game that everybody plays that has a ton of money, because that's what you have to do. And the reality is you're an idiot if you don't do it any other way. It's what it is. Look, if he cheated, why didn't they catch it? Well, it's because of this or because of that. And you find good tax attorneys, and I've seen him out there already saying, the New York Times is talking out their ass. I don't know what they're talking about. They're sham corporations. Of course they're shell corporations and all this stuff. That's what they do. But it's not illegal. You just don't like it because you want to get your hands on it. And why the other people's money is just the obsession with other people's money. I don't get it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. So will it be done tomorrow? That is the rumor, that the FBI is already going to be done. And Dr. Ford's like, hey, nobody's interviewed me. Yeah, the world did. We saw that. Do you have other information that you didn't tell them? Do you? I mean, as early as tomorrow, it could be wrapped up.
Hopefully, as Mitch said, they'll have a vote by the end of the week, and it will be a positive vote. But it will be dependent on what comes back from the FBI.
Absolutely. What's going to come back from the FBI? That's the big thing. And when is it going to come back? Is it going to come back tomorrow? Is it going to come back Thursday, Friday? Maybe not until next week. From what I understand and what I'm hearing is they're getting close to wrapping this thing up. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see, that Mitchell lady, Rachel Mitchell, the Maricopa County, I guess she was a prosecutor, sex crimes prosecutor. She said there wasn't enough there based on the stuff that she got, and albeit it was very limited, to move forward. No prosecutor was going to move forward with something like that. I don't know what the FBI is going to come back with, but if it's anything like what we saw, it's probably going to be extremely limited in who they're going to be able to talk to and what they get out of them. And if they get him out of them is he had a bar fight when he was 21 and his yearbook said that he drank too much and he partied. If that's what you're going on at this point in time, talk about a giant reach.
We have not seen any of the reporting yet. We were told it might come back more in real time, and that we might have some decisions to make in terms of where they go.
That's Jeff Flake right there. And it's now it's like, well, he painted himself as a good person. He painted himself as this, and he lied to Congress. I want to know what he lied about. Well, he said he didn't. He never said he didn't drink, right? This is his quote unquote his classmate. His name's Chad Ludington, talking about his lying.
I do not believe that heavy drinking or even loudish behavior of an 18 or even 21-year-old should condemn a person for the rest of his life. I would be a hypocrite to think so. However, I have direct, repeated knowledge about Brett's drinking and his disposition while drunk. And I do believe that Brett's actions as a 53-year-old federal judge matter. If he lied about his past actions on national television, and more especially while speaking under oath in front of the United States Senate, I believe those lies should have consequences.
Okay, so what did he say? Because the whole thing is he drank and he's so out of control that he blacked out all the time, and that's been the whole thing now is he's just some sort of angry drunk. And so this is the same guy, this Chad Ludington, who was a classmate of him, who went to the FBI to talk about this kind of stuff. Didn't say he was a friend, he was a classmate, so take it for what it will. I'll find out later on that next thing you know, yeah, he stole my girlfriend. But listen to this. And the reporter, to you know what? On her for pushing the question.
I have seen Brett drunk to the point he could easily be passed out.
But you never saw him passed out.
No, I never saw him passed out, but I saw him quite drunk. He saw me quite drunk.
And he testified that he did drink and wasn't proud of everything.
He did, but he also downplayed to a great degree the possibility that he could ever not know what was going on.
So you're saying there were omissions?
I'm saying there were omissions. There were certainly many times when he could not remember what was going on.
How do you know? I'm sure that's true. But it's another one of those, hey, he's really bad. He's a serial rapist. He's done all these things. And then like NBC rolls that sweatneck lady out and that thing fell apart so fast. Man, it was like a Jenga game in the middle of a tornado. It just fell apart. And so this is like, yeah, he's all of those things. Have you seen him like that? Nah, I never really seen him like that. But I know, because I saw him drinking and stuff. But I know. Did you ever see him like, no. Are you sure? No. 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 Are you positive? I mean, yeah, I'm positive that he drank a lot. But, are you 100% sure that he passed out and did all these things? Oh, I'm not 100% sure. I mean, you know, I didn't really see like you think. So, that's what I'm trying to figure out is like, where exactly is this going?
I don't think you should lie to Congress, and there have been a lot of people over the last year that have lied to Congress, and to me, that would not be acceptable.
Yeah, you're only supposed to lie to the American people. Hello? Remember, whenever you see these things, the federal government, a lot of times, doesn't really care what your crime is. They care about, are you forward and honest with them? Now, this is more of a subjective thing because we're talking about how much did he or didn't he drink when he was a teenager and in college for a year or two. I mean, you know, before it seemed to get, you know, before he graduated top of his class at Yale and did all of those kind of things. But even then, did he lie? And it's the old Al Capone thing. Couldn't get him on the racketeering. Couldn't get him on the running booze and the guns and the murders. Get you on tax evasion because you kept great books. Because it was just about getting. And for the left, that's what this is about. We'll figure out what's going to happen over the next few days. It'll be interesting. Right? If anything, it'll be interesting. And if they wrap it up by tomorrow or Thursday, I'm going to go out on the limb and say that chances are they found very little to nothing. And they can complain all they want that it wasn't enough time, that they should have interviewed every human being that's ever come in contact. But the reality was this is about Dr. Ford and the second lady. And if this ends up being something that comes back really quick, I bet you see him go through really fast and everybody will be angry. And then in 2 weeks, we'll have a new rage and this will be all but forgotten. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Love hearing from you. I look at the rain coming down. I love the rain. I do. Man, our house was just, I stayed in town last night because the rain was so bad. I knew it was going to be horrible. And so I always tell everybody, it's like, nobody's from Arizona, but everybody's from Arizona. It's like you get here and you start to drive like everybody else. And it's the flooding that happens. And if you've lived around, doesn't matter where you live, if you're not set up for a lot of rain and you get it quickly, your roads flood. And we have no rain. And then we have slick slick roads when the rain does come because of the oil and the accumulation of all that and then the water. And then I'm driving in today on the 51 and there's a car pointing back at me that is smashed into a wall with nobody around him. And I'm just like, because everybody drives the same speed as if the rain's not here. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. But it is crazy. And you go places where there's copious amounts of rain, right? Like where you are, Producer Phil. You go to places like that, and it's like people drive normal because you're used to it. You're used to it. Here, we're not used to it. And then we all have our Doppler 5000 radar, and we have to go outside. And then the other news station has the Doppler 5001 radar because they have to be just a little bit better. It's like The Price is Right. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. CarShield, speaking of taking care of yourself, CarShield is amazing. I've got it. You should get it. If you like your car, and a lot of you out there are going to keep your car for a long time, eventually that warranty is going to be gone. It may be gone now. So what do you do to protect yourself just in case something goes a little bit south? You get CarShield, and they handle everything. Absolutely 100% everything. Let's just say for the sake of argument, when this comes to your engine and stuff, you've got your fuel pump out. Next thing you know, it's $2,000 to get all this thing sorted out because I got to do all kinds of things to your car. Oh my goodness, what are you going to do? If you have CarShield, you send them to take care of it. And you tell the mechanic you want to take care of it. They're not going to tell you to take it some mechanic just to going to get you out of the door. Your favorite mechanic, you get 24/7 roadside assistance and a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. Do what I did, get extended vehicle protection. Call 800-CAR-6100, mention code Benson, or visit carshield.com. Use code Benson. It's going to save you 10%. Carshield.com, code Benson saves you 10%, or call 800-CAR-6100. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
And Coulter's going to join us here. Bottom of the hour. Bottom of the hour, kids. And Coulter's going to join us. It's my radio DJ voice. So there's a cartoon that is out, and it's on the Facebook and Twitter, and it's do I find it to be acceptable? No, but it's free speech, and it's a cartoonist, far left cartoonist named Chris Britt, who did a cartoon and talking, and it essentially, when Kavanaugh talked about his daughter praying for Dr. Ford, instead it's his daughter praying for her drunk, misogynistic father and lying father too. Let's put that in there. And people like, I posted it because I want to know, and I wanted to see the reaction of people because I think it's fair. You know, I did something today that pokes fun at the left for treating him as a boogeyman and as evil and all of this stuff. And those same people are cheering, and a lot of those people are disgusted by this. And this is the point I'm trying to make is we live in a world of free speech. But I don't like it. I get you don't like it. But that's the speech you protect. The speech you don't like. And I'm amazed at how many people were like, you need to take that down immediately. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not going to. But I'm offended. Well, then you don't have to look at it. It's the great thing about the world we live in. We have free choice. Nobody's saying you have to look at it. I don't want the guy fired, and he's already getting in trouble, and I don't. Look, art is thought-provoking. It's meant to get a reaction out of you. Whether it's comedy or music or acting or cartoons or whatever, it can get a reaction out of you. And it's meant to do that. Do I think kids should be off limits? I think in some ways I've always said kids should be off limits. I never talked about Obama's kids, and I never would. Trump's kids got a lot more involved. They're a different story. They're adults. I will never talk about anybody else's kids. At the same time, he did bring it up. He did. But in a world of free speech, it's the same for everybody. In the snowflake generation of, I don't want to hear it, it hurts my feelings. I read somewhere today that clapping now could potentially be, that they should stop clapping because it could be a trigger warning. Come on. It's enough of this. But you've got to be able to give and take. And either side, and it's sad to say sides, we have to be able to protect our speech. And that's what I'm looking for, is open-minded people enough to go, ugh, I don't like it. Just because you can doesn't always mean you should. And that's more of a taste thing, right? Like a fat guy in a banana hammock or a large lady in a bikini. Just because you can doesn't always mean you should. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. She doesn't need to worry about that because she is svelte, to say the least. Yes, Ann Coulter joins us straight away. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Every night, I cry myself to sleep over the fate of white men in America. White men have no power. White men, I mean, it's such garbage. And you know what? If you sexually assault someone in high school, your life should be ruined. Your life should be pursued.
Jeffrey Toobin, he's always fun. Speaking of always fun, she joins us, and I'm sure she's got a few things to say about this. Ann Coulter joins us now. And white men are awful, right? No more Mr. White Guy.
Yes, it's very hacky and trite and cliched and getting old, having them just add white to anything to make it sound even worse. It was white. I don't know if you remember, but Hillary Clinton said this about Trump when she was running for president about him, that he seems to have a fondness for white dictators or white autocrats, something like that. Well, cast your eye across the globe and try to think where those white dictators, autocrats are. I mean, all of Africa is dictators, all of Asia, all of the Middle East. I guess she's talking about Putin. I wouldn't want to live in Russia. I don't think I'd call him Stalin. He's not quite the Russian dictator of old. But she was just throwing in white autocrats to make it sound even worse than a dictator. He's a white dictator. And it's particularly crazy in the case of a sexual assault hearing, an alleged and uncorroborated recovered memory sexual assault. As if somehow, the victim of a sexual assault needs the tender, loving care of black men, Hispanic men, Indian men. No, as Adios America, my third to last book, illustrates quite clearly, American women are about to realize they never had it so good. The white American male of Western European descent is the most pacific, the least rapey, the most respecting of women that the world has ever seen. The immigrants we've been bringing in like mad since the 1965 Immigration Act come from cultures that are not nearly so respectful of women or respectful of sex.
Oh, man, that's well, you just hit out the park right there talking to Ann Coulter, Resistance is Futile, How the Trump-Hating Left Lost Its Collective Mind. That's your new book. I listen to like America Ferrera and all these people come out, and my question is, and I sit here and I sit here and go, what does him being white have to do with anything? Bad people come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. Why does it always have to be about a white person? And who wouldn't defend themselves the way that he did if they, too, were accused of being a serial rapist and now a serial drunk? He has every right, I think, to be upset.
Every right. It's a perfectly natural reaction. It's the reaction I think all of us had. He and Lindsey Graham expressed all of our rage. We knew they were going to do this. It's not even a new trick for them. I mean, they pulled it on Trump just before he was winning the presidential election. He's been a prominent Trump has been a prominent figure and a self-proclaimed multi-billionaire for many decades now. And suddenly all all these women come forward with charges that he groped them inappropriately. I'm sorry, I'm not believing any of it. I think there would have been a suit long ago. He probably does have a lot of nuisance lawsuits, not just from women. But if you're going to brag about your wealth the way Trump does, and meet so many reality TV types and Playboy bunny types through your the entertainment aspect of your career, you're going to get a lot of nuisance suits. They did it with Clarence Thomas, and it's worth familiarizing yourself with the claims and the evidence in that case. The credible witnesses were all on Clarence Thomas's side. The incredible witnesses were all on. There were only two who ever backed up what Anita Hill was saying, and they had big problems, which is why, those hearings transfixed the nation. It was very quick, and at the end of the hearings, 2/3 of Americans believed Clarence Thomas, but the media set to work, and over the next year, just did what they're doing now, just over and over again, lying to the public. Boy, talk about fake news. The greatest thing about Trump is that he's driving down. For people like you and me, we knew that the media were liars long ago, but I think a lot of normal people with busy lives who don't pay that much attention still thought they were getting news from the media. A year after the Clarence Thomas hearings, the percentages had reversed. 2/3 of Americans claimed that they believed Hill and not Thomas. So that's exactly what they're trying to do right here, right now with Brett Kavanaugh. We've seen, there's no evidence. We've seen that it's stunning that NBC, the network that spent months investigating Juanita Broderick's rape claim against Bill Clinton, refused to run the interview with her until after his impeachment trial was over to make sure that every Democrat would be fine blocking the removal of Clinton from office. But this woman last night, this Julie Swetnick, the one claiming the gang rape parties that she kept going to over and over again, NBC has to admit she gave us 4 witnesses. One witness got back to us and said she's never heard of Julie Swetnick before. The other witness is dead. The other 2 have not responded. And yet, NBC puts an interview with her on TV and hypes it to the max.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the insanity. They give them a platform that they wouldn't give other people who had legitimate claims along the way. And, but this is the world we live in. I've always said it's the stuff you don't see that the media doesn't want you to see that's more dangerous to them and to their side, if you will, than the stuff you do see. And this is the sad thing. And I'm looking forward, like 2020, people are talking about, Biden. And everybody's like, well, how's Biden going to live down what happened with Anita Hill? Because that's something that is now starting to come out. And a lot of people are making noise about that because the right, if you will, is using that against the entire Kavanaugh argument.
Yeah, he ran the hearing properly. How outrageous. He was, I think, fair to Clarence Thomas. I will give him credit for that. He said before the hearings he was going to vote on purely ideological grounds. It was a Republican nominee. He was voting against Clarence Thomas, something that Republicans might want to think about doing. But no, Democrats, of course, have to pave the way. They're the first ones who can be absolutely naked, vicious partisans. Once they've done it, you'd think Republicans would say, okay, you did it to our nominees, we're voting against your nominees. But Republicans have this idea that their good sportsmanship will be rewarded with better behavior by the Democrats. It never, ever works, and yet they keep trying. Well, let's try it again this time. But yeah, he did at least run the hearings, honorably and fairly.
Yeah, well, but again, that now will come back and bite him because, as we all know, what do you make of this retro rage? That's what I call it, retro rage, where you do a joke today on Twitter or whatever. Today I got a bunch of people because we put up a fake movie trailer about, Kavanaugh being the boogeyman, and people like, I hate you and stuff like that. And I expect that from certain people. But, you go and tweet something today, and then all of a sudden, 6 months or a year from now, what was funny, we've moved the goalpost, and now it's evil and bad. At what point in time, there's got to be like a drop dead date where that's 5 years. You can't go back 5 years. Now we're going back 20 plus years because he had a few drinks in high school or college. And it's insane, this retro rage.
35 with him. Well, I really think it's ultimately it's the substance. I don't care how many years ago it was, having beer in college. This hysteria over his beer drinking is utter madness. They try to, as always, they take a silly charge. Trump used a bad word in the Access Hollywood tape, and instantly that goes to, this is chapter 2 of my book now, Resistance is Futile, the hysteria over the Access Hollywood tape, and how the left and the media ended up hurting themselves with their titanic outrage over that. If you listen to what he was actually saying, it was the same formulation as when he said he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and his supporters wouldn't leave him. He takes something that is axiomatically unacceptable to describe the passion of a certain group of people. In the case of the Billy Bush Access Hollywood tape, what he was saying is the craziness of celebrity culture. When you're a celebrity, they let you do it. That's what he was saying, and then cited something axiomatically unacceptable, using a bad word. Yes, he used a bad word. It would have been, sophomoric, embarrassing. But no, the media instantly has to go to, he's admitting to a sexual assault. No, he said they let you do it. And we're seeing them follow the same path right now with the beer drinking. No, it proves he lied. No, he said he drank. He said he cringed over some of the things he did. He said sometimes he drank too many beers. They're now taking a college kid getting drunk and claiming, well, that's blackout drunk. No, I'm sorry. Not that I would care if he had ever, blackout drunk. But you don't graduate number one in your class from high school, do so well, end up at Yale, and do so well at Yale that you go to Yale Law School. No, he's obviously someone who works very, very hard. That is not a raging alcoholic.
No, it's not. I don't. And again, it's years ago.
And there is no perjury here. That's what they're trying to come up with. Perjury.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're reaching for anything. Talking to Ann Coulter, resistance is futile.
Yes, they are.
How the Trump-hating left lost its collective mind, and they lost it more than anything. Let's flash forward a week, and they get some of this stuff done that they think they're going to get done because, again, there's no code case files. They're not going back and taking out something in DNA. There's no crime scene. What do you think happens from here? Is it going to satisfy Murkowski, Collins, and Flake enough that they get this thing done, or is this? I think that the way that Trump's looking at this now is, hey, we can make lemons out of lemon. We can make lemonade out of lemons and make this a big push for November and maybe steal a seat or two in the Senate.
I wouldn't count on it. I look, if that's what it takes, then if it comes to that, I'll discuss it then. But it's hard to keep anger going. We have a lot of weeks left here, and I think the number of people who will be angry on our side will also be matched by the number of people who are demoralized. They've got to confirm Kavanaugh. Pressure has got to be put on. If they're wavering, and I probably shouldn't be attacking them so much on Twitter because they haven't precisely said, but I tend to think we will get Murkowski and Collins. I also think it's very likely we're going to get Manchin and Heidkamp, looking at the polls in their states, and they're up for election, and there is a lot of rage on the other side, on our side, that is to say, for the first time, real rage over this. So don't start. No, I'm sick of Republicans saying, just as a general matter, okay, we lost this time, but we're really set up well for next time. No, I've had it with next time. I want to win this time, and there is no reason this man should not be confirmed. The Supreme Court sits, I think, today. They come back, and we need 9 justices on the Supreme Court. There is a time limit there are not a time limit, but there are time demands. There are time constraints. We need to get Kavanaugh confirmed. This is nonsense. It is just allowing the nonsense to go on and on and on. It's been, how many, 100 hours since Dr. Ford's utterly substantiveless, evidence-free, corroboration-free allegations, and chock full of lies herself, her testimony. Has any additional evidence come out to support her? No, none. Now we're down to whether Brett Kavanaugh is a beeraholic. No, this is nonsense.
A beeraholic. Ann Coulter, love having you on. Resistance is futile, how the Trump-hating left lost its collective mind. Look forward to talking to you again. I appreciate that, as always. Thanks so much.
Good to talk to you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, she, you know what? You don't have to agree with her. She's got passion. She's got her thing. She does her thing. I don't always agree with everything she says, just like I don't always agree with everything that everybody says on either side. And it's funny, but she's got passion, and there is nothing wrong with passion. A beeraholic. That's kind of where we're at now. That's the way it does feel. And if you notice, you have not heard a lot about Dr. Ford since then. You haven't heard a ton about it. She's been very quiet. Like, where is she? And this Avenatti, sweat neck thing has just fallen apart big time. And now you're talking to somebody who I believe, the funny thing is the second lady they talked about, I think she was actually in a wedding party like 10 years after that supposedly happened. And there's a picture of her. It's insane. Look, I don't care what side you're on. Can you at least step back for a second and go, okay, I see that this is all a game. I can be honest enough to say that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say woo! She used rapey. Man, she gets people pissed off, fired up, angry. Everybody take a deep breath. Remember, a lot of it is you're putting a little bit of it on, if you get what I'm saying. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. And I don't know how to take this because it's Samantha Bee.
I have an idea. I'm going to gamify the midterms.
For most of this year, I've been harboring a secret. My secret is that I've been working to increase midterm voter turnout in the most 2018 way we know how. A game on your phone.
Which is weird because I'm not quite sure I want you to vote if the only reason you're going to vote is because it's a game on your phone.
Before the break, you saw our plan to make a mobile game designed to increase voter turnout. And now you can see how those plans went terribly wrong.
The first game was scheduled to start at 11 p.m. Wednesday, but heavy traffic caused the app to crash, which led to the show tweeting, "Good news, people love our new game. Bad news, all those people playing it once crashed it." Unfortunately, they were unable to get the app working right away, so the first game was pushed to the following day.
And at first I was like, and then the other part of me is like, yeah, I get it. It's the younger generation. It could be fun. And just talking about that to some people today, people are like, oh my God, Samantha Bee. I'm like, hey, look, if it's a good idea and it works, great. Right? If you can get more people interested in paying attention. Now, granted, this, she's even joked about it. She said it's not who you vote for. It's just that you vote, but it's also who you vote for. I get that. But in a younger generation, when you're trying to reach people, sometimes I have to step back and say, okay, don't be that, get off my lawn person. Get off my lawn. It's the way we reach people. And we all get frustrated over the fact that there's a lot of people out there that really aren't into politics. And if we've got to turn it into a game or figure out a way to lure them to the polls, then that's what you have to do. Even though it's frustrating. I get it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Got a lot of stuff going on. Check out Chad Benson Show TV. It's on the old YouTubes. All right? That's the YouTubes. Check it out there. Also, like us on not only Facebook, Chad Benson Show, but you can go follow us on Instagram as well. And a bunch of other things that we do. Man, we do it all here. We're not the stay off our lawn type of people, even though at times we do act like that. It's mostly because our hips hurt. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's The Chad Benson Show.
But here's my observation and the lessons we're learning. We are in a zero-sum game. It's like the flip of a coin. I flip the coin, heads I win, tails you lose. Or you flip the coin and it's, you got heads, you win, and I lose. You can't run politics, you can't run life in a zero-game environment. And so it's like when you're in that environment, all the tactics are permitted. You can say anything about anybody. You can, because it's all about me winning and you losing. We can't live our lives that way.
Absolutely true. Wisdom from today's thought master, John Kasick. We can't live in a world like that. Tribalism's insane the way that it's gotten. And part of it is because we give a voice to people now and a way to get their anger out, right? That movie, The Purge, that came out a couple years ago, and it spawned several, sequels since then, where people can go out and have their night of crime and anything is legal from like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Anything is legal. Murder. You just can't murder certain people, politicians and stuff like that. Outside of that, you can murder, rape, do anything you want to do. It's all legal. And we've given people a voice now where they can be angry. That's why when I posted some today about on a fake trailer about how they've made him to be the boogeyman, Kavanaugh, and everything. It's not just he's a rapist, potentially serial rapist, but not really. But we're going to make you think he's that. He's also going to kill polar bears, and he's going to do this, that, and the other. And it's crazy that we've gotten to this point. So it gives people an outlet. They can go on and they could just say whatever they want to say, and it gets it out there. But we've gotten to this point where it's us versus them, and that's something that we have to take a deep breath, right? That's why we say try to find common grounds. So when people say they hate me, hey, if it makes them feel a little better to say that you hate me, I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay. I don't care. There's 5 or 6, 7 people in the world that I'm close with. As far as people that are in my group, right? The kids and my family, my mom, and then we're not all close people. No, I love them. I'm just messing with you. But, there's a closeness of my relationships and things that I have that I keep on the down low. I care about their thought, right? Outside of that, it's and I care about both sides of the aisle, the listeners and everything, and I'm okay with that. But if we get to the point where the only reaction we have to somebody is, I hate you, and you don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about me. That I'm a father, right? That I'm a brother, that I'm a big uncle, that I do all of these things. All you know is you don't agree with something I said, so your only thing that you have to do is lash out because you hate me. Because you're so tribal and you're so bent on the red or blue, and both sides does it. Both sides do it. Both sides are guilty of this. Absolutely. Right now, it's easy to look at the blue side and say you guys are an absolute joke, not only by the way you've treated Kavanaugh, but by the way you've treated Dr. Ford and anybody else you can use to do the things that you need to do to make sure that you get the victory.
And then we get to our tongues. Our tongues, which one person wrote, maybe it was even in the scripture, that the tongue is more powerful than the rudder on a ship. And we use this tongue as a weapon. And we use social media now as a weapon, almost a virtual tongue, to say things that we end up turning around and we apologize to our spouses. We apologize to our friends. We apologize to our business partners. And guess what? Sometimes we can't heal it.
Yeah, sometimes. But the reality is people aren't. We've gotten so tribal that we live in these echo chambers, and anybody who comes into our echo chamber, get out of here. What do you? It's like turf, right? This political turf. It's like that's my street corner. You're in my area. How dare you come over to the red side or the blue side? How dare you? If you get caught dead over here, you're done, man. We're gonna get you. It's sad. It's absolutely sad. 110%. It's completely sad the way that this is playing itself out. And when I look at something like with what's happening with Kavanaugh, right? And I don't think we're going to find anything out other than, he drank a little bit in college. And apparently for anybody else, that's okay. But for him, that somehow he's damned. But the fact that we're at the point now where we're not going to find anything out. He's going to be, he's a serial rapist. He kills puppy dogs and polar bears. He's single-handedly destroying the Earth's climate and all of these kind of things. And we're not going to find anything else out. And people have already made up their minds. And if you support him, somehow you hate women. And that's not a starting point for anything. That's an ending point. That's it. And our tongues are. And our mind. It's not our tongues, it's our mind. Our mind controls our tongue. It's not our tongue. It's our mind. And that's the point I always talk about, being open-minded. Don't tell me what color friends you have or what sexual identity they have or what box you can check off for something. I don't care about that. What's in their mind? What's in their heart? That matters far more than anything else. Absolutely. But in this world of red and blue, we can't do that anymore. We can't. And I feel sorry. I look at this and I think to myself, have we always been this kind of, I don't know if we've always been this way. Obviously, the Civil War was something that was quite huge, and we can go back to that. But as far as individuals, right, the way that we now have that platform to say anything to anybody at any given time, it is kind of sad because we don't care. We say things to people that we would never say to anybody else because we feel we have the right to say something because I don't agree with you, so I can hate you, and I have moral high ground to hate you.
And we have got to all wake up that I don't have to win and you have to lose. We can all have some victories.
But how does that work in the confirmation process?
Well,
Kavanaugh is going to be a win for some and a lose for others.
Well, we have to think about what we're learning from this. Now, we had Gorsuch was confirmed, but we have to learn, why did that work? Why is this not working?
Yeah. How many times have I said this over and over again? The sad thing about the politics that we have nowadays is we've stopped trying to say, hey, we've got a great idea. We think it's a great idea. It'll be great for the country. It's now just easier to say, hey, they suck a lot more than we suck. Let us tell you how they suck. And boom. And when you hear people like Bill Maher, who, a month or two ago says, we got to hope for a recession and that everything can collapse. That's the mentality. You hope America goes into recession and people lose their jobs and their livelihood and lose their homes so we can get back on the ground that you think we should be on and the path that you think we should be on because somehow people know better. That's not a win. I've said it all along, and people ask me every day, would you have supported Hillary? Yeah, I would have. As far as I don't want my president to fail. If she did something wrong, I would criticize her. If she did something right, I would praise her. Same thing I do with Trump. When he does stuff wrong, I criticize him. When he does stuff right, I praise him. This want. People talk about, I'm a great patriot, you're a patriot, everybody's a patriot. I hear the patriot word all the time, yet how I hear is you hate half the country, right? You hate half the country because they don't agree with you. That's ridiculous. That's not a patriot, right? You're not a patriot. You only fight for your side. And that's the issue with politicians. That's why I tell everybody over and over again, become a free agent. Every time your last vote is cast for all of the people you're going to cast a vote for come in November. So every time you check off that last box or do whatever it is that you do, and that's it, it's gone, you turn around and you say, I've got no allegiance to anybody. They're going to have to earn my vote. It's actions, not words, and become a free agent. Let them work for you.
I learned about pressure cookers when I was a kid. I said to my mother, when you make those potatoes, why does that thing whistle? She said, Johnny, if it doesn't whistle and blow off steam, it'll all explode. We're about to see the explosion, and we are seeing in some sense the explosion of American politics. I hope people will listen to me and think about it doesn't have to be win and loss. There are ways in which we can get these things fixed.
Absolutely. It's not going to be perfect, right? We're still going to have some, some awful people in positions of power. But when you start holding them accountable, you start getting rid of them, you start voting them out and stop being trapped by some sort of D or R by your name. Do you know how much better that's going to be for you and me and everybody else? There's still going to be times when they fall short of expectations. They're still human beings. There's still going to be times when politics gets in the way. But the problem now is politics is all that matters. The people don't matter. It's themselves. It's the party. And way down here, it's the people. Outside of that, they don't care. They don't. And we need to start caring. We absolutely need to start caring. 110%. In a different way than we're doing it now. We do it now when we go and we say something on Facebook, we say something somewhere, and I'm only this or I'm only that, and away we go, and I defend my party and I don't care about it. No. Are you listening? Are you talking? Are you conversing to other people? Are you having an open mind about something? I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me. We don't need to hate each other. Find some middle ground. We can find some commonality. We can sit there and talk. And you know what's great is when it comes to politics, I'm okay if you have to give some stuff up. Because they're also Americans. They are Americans, just like me. And sometimes you give and sometimes you get. But we're at a position where we don't, if it's not all, it'll be nothing. And we're okay with that. And that's not a win.
Who's winning on this?
Nobody.
We're not teaching our kids this. We teach our kids, you win at all costs. You know, the Ryder Cup was on over the weekend. You know what everybody liked? Each team giving each other a hug.
Right.
You know, you play as hard as you can, and you show respect for somebody, because when you back them into a corner, whether it's a human being or whether it's an animal, you learn you back somebody into a corner and they'll strike at you.
Absolutely. And I will tell you this right now. Like I said, and I continue to say, go look up the names of every tribe out there. A majority of tribes have people in their name. River people, our people, the people, because they want to see themselves only as the people, and everybody else is the serpent, the demon, the evil. They are less than us, these people. That doesn't get us anywhere. The minute we see red, white, and blue, hey, we're all Americans here, regardless of color, sexual orientation, who you worship or don't worship, any of that, the better it is for everybody. The better it is. I'm not saying that you don't have your thoughts and you should look at everything and you vote your conscience and the thing you want. But if we don't stop for a second and start thinking, hey, we need to start moving things forward, and we're not going to get everything we want, and we can do this as a group going forward, and we can show the world what it is and who it is we are in a better way. Our founding fathers were worried not about outside forces, but by us eating ourselves alive. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Love hearing from you. Check out Chad Benson Show TV as well on the old YouTubes. Got the Instagram. Got all kinds of stuff. Got all kinds. And we're getting Phil his pilot's license so he can go out and skywrite for us. That's going to be awesome. Can't wait for that. Hey, MyPillow. I slept so great last night. My watch tells me how long I slept. And so I slept about 6 hours last night. I had to get up extra early today. But the deep sleep was like 5 hours and 21 minutes. And it's funny because I was in a hotel because I was sleeping and I didn't even move. It was like literally I didn't move an inch. And it was great. That's what MyPillow does for me. I take my Go Anywhere pillow everywhere I travel. You need to get a MyPillow. It's going to help you in everything you do. The aspects of waking up in the morning knowing you're refreshed, you feel like you could take on the world, heart health, yeah, big time blood pressure. That's what sleep does for you. What are you waiting for? 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. Here it is, backed by popular demand, the BOGO. Buy one, get one free. Call 800-944-4975 or go to mypillow.com. Use the promo code Benson, BENSON. Get 2 MyPillows for the price of one. Better night's rest, world's most comfortable pillow. You're going to absolutely love it. Go to mypillow.com, promo code Benson, or 800-944-4975. Promo code is Benson. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. CHADBENSON. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to the Alt Middle, where solutions live and ignorance dies. The Chad Benson Show.
You were invited as a guest of Senator Dianne Feinstein to be there at the hearing. Why was it important for you to be there?
Oh, so many reasons, but I think most of all, I don't believe that any man's misogyny should take precedent over a survivor's humanity.
I have no idea. Like, that's Alyssa Milano. I have no idea what she's talking about. So, but this is that thing. We build something up in our mind, right? So he's a demon. He's evil. And the issue is, take away politics. Look at where we are now. Rich versus poor, black versus white, right? Man versus woman. Because conflict is at least interesting. That's what the media plays on. Can conflict be interesting? Can I get you to fight? Sports is a perfect example. But the one thing about sports that I think changes is that for all intents and purposes, after the game, they bust their ass and they know there's a winner and loser. And after the game, they can shake hands and move on. What ends up happening in politics is you get somebody who, like Alyssa Milano, who is still smoking hot, by the way, but okay. Who Chad, you're a jerk. Can I say that? Was that the misogynistic patriarchy, whatever? But she can have the passion for the thing that she has the passion for. I have no problem with that. It's he's an evil, bad person because these people say he's an evil, bad person because he's going to do this, this, and this. And we never look at the other side and we'll say this, this, and this. They believe in that. So, but no, it's just he's evil, he's bad, he's a white man, he's a rapist, he's misogynistic, and that's not a win for anybody. It's not a win. And when you get to the point where the passion is clouded, being able to say anything, right? To actually have a conversation with somebody because they're so angry that you may not believe what they believe, that does any of us any good at all. Zero, zilch, nada. Sad. It's very sad. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Amazon, did they get ahead of Bernie Sanders? Very interesting in what they announced today. And not one, but two kids playing football have passed away. Talked about it yesterday. I think sooner rather than later, high school and other football places are going to start abandoning it, and they're going to change everything altogether if they're to save the sport. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Starting on November 1st, the 250,000 permanent employees and the 100,000 seasonal workers at Amazon will make at least $15 an hour. Founder Jeff Bezos says he hopes that his competitors and other large employers will follow his lead. The pay raise also applies to Whole Foods, the grocery store chain that Amazon owns.
Bezos getting in front of it. And what is funny about this is I love what he says there. I hope my competitors, meaning Walmart, Target, things like that, do what I'm doing. Because you see, Bernie's been screaming, it's a livable wage. We need a livable wage. So here's your livable wage, $15 an hour. That's what you guys are fighting for. Fight for 15. So everybody's getting $15 an hour. Now, why don't you look over there at the other ones? Which is going to force them to do what? Make a decision. If they're going to be forced into it, if they're going to be forced socially into it, which is going to cut into their profits, which is going to make things more expensive, which is going to make Amazon, this is a money win for them. They'll spend more money, but they're going to make more money. And that right there is, I think, once again, a brilliant move.
The $15 minimum wage is the new starting wage for all employees and all employee types. Full-time, part-time, seasonal, our holiday associates, people working with agencies, staffing agencies.
Yeah. So it's not even just people who are like they're permanent. It's all employees.
The impact this is going to have on our employees and their families is significant. I'm incredibly excited about it. The team was excited. It's been a lot of fun here today.
Yeah, people are celebrating. They're getting more money. People are happy about it. And when you boost something like that, it's going to make people smile. It is. And Trump will tout this as a win. Look at this. They're going to go out. They're going to spend more money. They're going to give more money. It's only because the economy's great. It's wonderful. It's all because of me. And he'll go out and do his thing. But what Bezos is doing is he is now putting pressure on other companies to have to step up, because Bernie's had his eye on them. The social justice warriors, the Bernies of the world are coming after Bezos. He's worth all of this money. Nobody's ever been richer in history. Midas has never been as rich as you. You have all of this money, and your employees, they just don't have a living wage. And look at all this stuff. Now that you've done this, they'll go, well, let's go to Walmart because they've raised their wages, but they haven't raised enough. Let's go to Target. They haven't raised theirs enough. Let's go to whoever. We can't go to Sears because not going to be around long enough. Kmart probably not going to be around long enough. So now they're going to go after this. And what this does is, as the pressure comes on them, they have to start making decisions. Do we want to be in the crosshairs of the Fight for 15 movement, right, and the living wage for people? Or do we just want to bite the bullet? But in biting the bullet, it's going to cost us money, which is going to cut into our profits, which is potentially going to cost us to lay off people or not hire as many people to work. And in doing so, Amazon wins. That's it. In many ways, doing this puts pressure on them and may reduce competition for Bezos and Amazon. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from somebody. Somebody just tweeted at me or sent something to Facebook that says, I don't like what you've put up on your Facebook. Please take it down now. That's the stuff you get all day, right? Like, I talk to other people in the business. I have the people outside I've got friends who are afraid to say certain things. It's ridiculous. It is. Why don't you like it? Like, and what do they do? And this is the thing, and I talk about this all the time, is rather than say, hey, I don't like what you did, you call an idiot, you call somebody a horrible name, you hope they die, or you say whatever it is that you think that makes you feel good so you can go back and look at your grandkids and say, I did something good today. Rather than say, I don't like what you put there, I think it's BS. And I'll say, well, I think it's satire and it's funny, and if I did it to the other side, you'd be fine with it. I told one person today, really, because I hammered Trump, and I've done parodies about him, and I'd never hear you say anything. And she said, well, he deserves it. There you go. There you go. He deserves it. So as long as it's your side that has the opportunity to make fun of the other side, you're okay with it. Whenever I get something like that, I always tell everybody, and people are like, how do you handle it? I'm like, you wear it with a pride and honor. If you're that pissed, if I've made you that upset about something, usually it's because I've said something that has made you think, ooh, maybe he's right. And so what that does is that attacks your belief system, which automatically attacks you, and you believe automatically, oh my God, he's a horrible human being. This is who I am. It's not who you are. You're just whoever you are. You're a person. No different than me. Your quote unquote red and blue belief system is not 100% of what you. It's a portion of what you are. That's it. Period. Case closed.
This morning, a Georgia community is heartbroken after the sudden death of 17-year-old linebacker Dylan Thomas.
He loved everybody. Everybody loved him.
Teammate Gavin Duncan was on the field Friday when his friend had to be helped to the sideline in the third quarter.
Did you know how serious it was? Well, I saw him walk off the field, so I thought he was going to be okay. But when he got to the bench, he started complaining he couldn't feel his legs. And then started sinking in how bad he might have been hurt.
Yeah. Absolutely horrible. So here's a kid, does a routine play. We hear about these, and with football in the position it's in right now with the head and the concussions. And I'll tell you guys, it's scary. It is absolutely scary. Jack, a couple weeks ago, my son, a whopping 8 years old, was playing PE basketball and hit his head really bad. He had to come home that day. He had to go to the doctors at night. He just went back to school yesterday, and they're going to do more tests on him Friday. And he has had headaches and all kinds of stuff. It is scary. And if you play sports long enough, you're going to experience something that is not, it's not great. It's not. And this is one of those things where a guy gets hit, goes to the sideline, starts to lose feelings in his extremities, and then it just goes downhill from there.
Officials at Pike County High School say Dylan suffered a brain injury, but Coach Brad Weber says at the time, nothing seemed out of the ordinary until Dylan became incoherent.
He was saying that, he wasn't feeling right. And then that's when his left leg and left arm went numb, and he just pretty much fell off the bench.
Could you imagine that? Now, I have been in a horrible situation like this with a kid I coached club soccer with. In his first high school soccer game, he was killed. Went up for a header on a throw-in, an innocuous play, and somebody smashed into the back of him, and he died essentially instantly. And what they said was his neck broke and is severed away from his skull. It's horrible. And the doctors and everybody said if they did it 1,000 million kabillion times, it could never happen again the way it did. And on top of that, if it happened in the hospital, they still couldn't save him. And people look at sports, and football's one of those things because of the concussions, because of the violence. This isn't one of those things where a kid overheated, and we saw that this year with the Maryland football player who essentially had a heat stroke that ended up causing him to die. This is a brain injury, and that is what people are afraid of.
It was an emotional weekend, not just in Georgia, but also in Nashville, where another young football player is in critical condition after collapsing Saturday during a college game. Christian Abercrombie, a sophomore at Tennessee State, had also walked off the field while playing Vanderbilt, telling trainers he had a headache. Minutes later, he collapsed.
Yeah, it is crazy. But I always tell everybody, keep it in perspective, right? Like, we look at the football players and we say, this is awful, this is horrible, but people go out and they go in the woods and they get attacked by bears and they go into the ocean. And we saw over the weekend, a little boy in Escondido was attacked by a shark. It's not, we think it's happening all the time. The long-term ramifications of football is a bigger worry than these things. But again, it's every time you do something like that, you put yourself at risk, but nowhere near the risk of just driving to the damn game.
Deaths on the football field are rare. Last year, of the 4 million young people who played organized football, 13 died from the sport. 4 of them were from direct causes like head trauma. The other 9 from indirect causes like heat stroke.
See? So if you think about 4 million people and 13 died, while that's awful and horrible that any of them died, the reality is it's so small comparatively to other things. How many people today will on their way to work today, they thought they were going to have a normal day at work and aren't going to get home? Last week, the CDC came out, something that went completely under the radar, right? Something went completely under the radar that wasn't talked about. And that was my bad. I wanted to get to it. 80,000 people die a year from the flu. 80, and not all of them are very young and very old. There's a lot of healthy people in the middle that end up dying from the flu because they let it go too long. It gets worse. They think they can. 80,000 people. Put that in perspective to something like this. Plus, there's always we never know what if when it comes to somebody.
He's a really good, kind-hearted kid, loves to laugh and play football.
Back in Georgia, Dylan Thomas had no known prior medical conditions. The shock is still sinking in today.
He died what he loved to do, and rarely people get that blessing.
Yeah, it's awful. But I always think we have to put it in perspective. Like I say, I'm more worried about the long term with the head injuries and what potentially that causes, but still something to talk about. Absolutely. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. And I said yesterday, my son who just wants to play tackle football, and I won't let him do it. I'm not going to let Jack play tackle football. Now, when he gets older, I told him we'll revisit it when he gets older. And, there's a game that they're trying to spread right now called Fusion, which is a form of tackle-ish football with a little bit harder to pull tags, and there's blocking and things of that nature. But there's no tackling per se. I mean, every once in a while you're going to fall over and things like that. But, Jack knocked himself out playing basketball, for God's sakes, at PE. It's just they've got to look at different ways of going about doing these things because we understand it. And when you get to college and when you get to the point where you're in the NFL, if I'm the NFL, I just step away from the whole concussion thing and say, look, these are grown-ass men, all right? They get it. They understand the risk at this point in time. They get it. We're not putting a gun to their head saying they have to be here. They understand it. And the risk reward is they're getting paid lots of money, but they understand what the risk is. The guys 20, 30 years ago, They didn't, because we hid from them. We didn't tell them things. It's like people who smoke today. 40 years ago, you smoked. You didn't know what it was because they were lying about it. Now, just be upfront with it. Say they understand the risk. But when you're a kid, you got to hold them back. You do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. AMAC. Hey, are you 50 and older? You are. Somebody wrote me yesterday, said, Chad, I really want to join AMAC, but there's no way you get 40% off SeaWorld, Legoland, Six Flags, Disneyland, Disney World. I'm like, yeah. And that's just to name a few, right? It doesn't matter. Yeah. 40% off movie tickets. On top of the fact that they're going to go out there and they're going to advocate on your behalf for all kinds of things like common sense, immigration, and Social Security reform, things like that. You get these benefits, and it's free to join. 1 year membership, absolutely free. That's it. All you have to do is be 50 or older. Discounts on retail, restaurant, hotel bookings, so many other things. And yes, the 40% off the theme parks and the movie tickets. It's incredible. They didn't want your credit card. Sign up. You're free. All you have to do is go to amac.us/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad or call 888-355-1668. That's 888-355-1668 or amac.us/Chad. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. We got your useless fact of the day straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
It's a constant battle between paying attention to man's best friend or checking out that latest YouTube video on man's favorite device.
I get the poke and the, hey, what are you doing? Or I get the toy put in my lap and whatnot. So
pay attention to me.
Yeah, exactly.
A new study shows dogs may become more anxious and possibly even suffer from doggy depression due to our overuse of smartphones.
A lot of times in the dog park, people just don't pay attention in general.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thought process is dogs are depressed because they know you're on your smartphone. And so they're bummed because you're not paying attention to them, and maybe they're struggling. What do dogs want? Dogs want attention.
The new norm seems to be paying attention to our screens and forgetting about Fido.
He very much is like, hey, I'm here, or he tries to act out.
He sees me on my phone all the time. He looks at me like, come on, I see you on your phone.
I'm sure they do, right? That's funny. That is. I have a little dog. His name's Doodle. Right? It's funny because he and the lizard are hilarious. They're like frenemies. But yeah, I guess so. But dogs always want attention, right? Like that's what they want. They want attention. Now, I don't know if they get depressed if they don't get it, but I think it doesn't matter if you're watching TV or if you're reading a book or it doesn't matter. If you're not paying attention to them, they want attention. And if you're not giving it to them, what do they get? They get bummed.
The UK-based study focused on how welcoming a pet, specifically a dog, could help people suffering from mental health issues. And though cats did not seem to be affected...
Cats just seem aloof to me anyway. I hope I'm not offending cat people, but...
It's all good. We're in a dog park. Researchers also learned dogs may suffer from depression if their human handlers ignored them.
It's just like having a kid.
See? That's the beauty of cats, right? Like cats, I don't care. You're on your smartphone? Yeah. This is me not caring. You know when I'll care? When I want to care. That's when I'll care. Right now, I'm not caring. Now, if you don't mind, I would like you to look the other way because I have this candle that's lit that I must either catch portions of myself on fire and or knock it completely off. This is what's going on. I'm a cat. Do you get what I'm saying there? You can go over there to your little depressed dog.
Veterinarian Dr. Alexander Koyata says he sees the effects of smartphone usage.
Dogs do read body language. They read our eye contact, our facial expressions. So if we are on our phone and acting disinterested and they're looking for attention, it is kind of basically ignoring your dog.
They get all butthurt. It's the beauty of lizards, right? My reptiles is they don't get butthurt. They don't. I always think reptile people are the most open-minded people Because the serpent in any culture is always supposed to be the bad thing or the evil thing or the other side thing. So if you can like the serpent or at least understand the serpent, you can kind of get along with everybody. And I kind of try to get along with everybody. And I just, my lizards don't care. My snake doesn't care. My dog cares. Cat doesn't care. Right? But the cat doesn't care anyways. The only thing a cat cares about is food. But that's why we love cats, right, Phil? Because they're super independent. Like, that's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they are. They're like, they could really care less. They're like, look, if something happens to you, I'm probably going to eat you. Cats are such jerks. That's why I love them, though. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Make sure you grab the podcast. We're available. I think at the TuneIn Radio app, iTunes, and elsewhere. Go to thechadshow.com. You can grab it there. An interesting conversation with, yes, Ann Coulter today, where she used the word rapey. Just, goodness, the passion. It's right there. It's right there. All right, here's your useless fact of the day on this Taco Tuesday. Dave Chappelle loved to dress up like Prince, did all kinds of skits like Prince. Well, Prince released a single, and instead of putting himself on there, he put Dave Chappelle on the cover of it. Breakfast Can Wait. When asked if he was going to sue Prince, he's like, it's me dressed as Prince. I think that's the checkmate right there, because Prince loved Chappelle. Have a good rest of your Taco Tuesday. Be nice, people, just for a little while. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.